everybody, it's Amy, also known as Aussie Stitcher in Texas, here on Flosstube and over on Instagram. I am here with you today on Friday, August the 1st, with Flosstube number 39. So I just want to say hello to all of my returning viewers. Thank you for joining me again, and a big warm welcome to all of my new subscribers who have checked me out and found me through my last couple of videos, probably mainly through my mid-year whip parade. Welcome. I hope you like what you see here today. So we're going to go through the 9 projects that I worked on for the month of July. So this is everything I stitched on in the month of July. And then I have one small piece of haul. I got a kit from Forbidden Fibre Co that's come through, so I'll show that at the end as well. But let's just jump right into it because it is kind of late on Friday. It's the end of the workday. I'm very much looking forward to the weekend. I had a bout of vertigo this morning and I'm still not feeling great, but I wanted to get this filmed and get this out for everybody. So let's look at the most recent project I've worked on this month, and that is Star Dragon by Owl Forest Embroidery. Here's what it will look like when it's finished. I am stitching this on a 40 count verdal in the color Macchiato by BeStitchMe. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I got 2,363 stitches on this and most of the second page finished. So here's where we're up to. Doing nice and close. I am using the DMC conversion for this for everything but the red. The red I'm actually using a Weeks Dye Works in the color Raspberry that I had in my stash. And I did some calculations and I'll need more than one skein, but I'm going to wait and see how I go because I wouldn't need a lot of a second skein. So I may just try and position it, depending on where I finish. Like I might do these in like a different color, like a different red, because they're kind of separated enough from these. So I need about maybe roughly, I think 1,000 stitches. So I may do these and then those as well in a different color, or I'll just probably go on autopilot and end up stitching everything and then end up buying a second skein. But we will see. If I can get away with not having to buy a second skein, I will, just because I'm trying to work through stash of various fancy flosses that I've gotten through boxes and things like that. I don't traditionally buy fancy floss for the sake of it, but I'm working through my stash and I'm discovering I do kind of like it, but like I said, I want to work through the stash I have rather than just having it sit there and never be used. But that is Star Dragon I am working on. Next up on my pile was one of my Whip Go calls for the month. So this was number 2, and I was to work on this for 600 stitches. This is Witch's Hallow. Sorry for the glare. Actually went and bought myself a little ring light. Witch's Hallow by Autumn Lane Stitchery. This is from a Halloween box from them a couple of years ago. So like I said, 600 stitches was the goal. I got 818. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I am stitching this on a 32 count Lugana in the color Rubios, I think. Yes, from Under the Sea Fabrics, Rubios. And I am stitching this with CXC floss as opposed to DMC. And look at the amazing coverage that you get from this CXC. Like, look at that black. It is lovely. So I've got the full width on the piece, and then just, starting to now work my way down with the orange show through. So it's mostly full coverage, but any orange, you obviously see on the sides, but any orange that'll be in kind of the centerpiece is the fabric show through. So really enjoying this, like I said, 32 count by Under the Sea Fabrics. Okay, I'm trying to put everything in a nice pile so it's easy to put away. Next up was my other Whip Go call for the month. It was to work on a Luca-S kit for, Luca-S, I only have one, and it is a kit for 1,000 stitches, and that is the King of Flowers by Luca-S. I'm using all the kit materials for this. It is on a 16 count? Yep, 16 count aida, just a white that came with the kit, and using all the Luca-S materials. throw up what it looked like the last time that you finished. I did 1,135 stitches on this, and here's where we're up to. So I came pretty far down here and worked my way over a little bit. I think I'm going to come probably down to the bottom just so I can start, you know, I don't have a huge amount of margin, so if I can just start working my way in and not be always so tied up against my Q-snap, that would be great. Just easier for me to work on. But absolutely love the watercolor effect of this. Absolutely lovely. Maybe this can be my screenshot. We'll see. If not, I'll just take a photo. Okay. Next up on the pile is, if my brain will work, this is Quaker Pumpkins by Hallow from Liz Mathews. I am changing this a little bit using the Georgia Girl stitching conversion. So instead of All Hallows Eve and these two birds on the side, mine's going to say Autumn Harvest and have 2 leaves on the side, but everything else is the same. I'm doing the DMC conversion for this as well, so not the fancy floss. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I am stitching this on a 40 count verdal in the color something. Oh no, everything's falling down on my side. 40 count verdal in the color Grogg. And I did 2,199 stitches on this. Here's where we're at. Oh, I can't see myself. There we go. So I've now finished kind of the top part. All of the pumpkins are done. I did toy with changing this bird to something else, but then really just couldn't be bothered trying to chart that out. And then so have come down to the bottom. So I've got the full width and length of this. And then started with autumn. So most of autumn is done. The 2 leaves either side are done. So then just finishing up the M, the N, and then harvest. And then this will be done. So not a whole lot left to go on this, probably about 2,000 stitches. It's hard to tell exactly because it's across kind of 2 pattern keeper patterns. Because I'm still using the original to finish off the border here. And then I'm using the Georgia Girl stitching to do the autumn harvest and the leaves. So I don't know exactly where I'm at with this, but like I said, I stitched 2,000 something and something. I can't read, oh my God. 2,199, I don't know what's wrong. This vertigo has really thrown me. I'm exhausted. If anybody gets vertigo, you know what it's like. It is not a fun experience to be having. Okay, next up, everything fell down. Trying to put myself back in order here. Is my Long Dog sampler. This is You Belong to Me. And it will look like this when it's finished. I am stitching this in 3/842 DMC on a 40 count verdal, surprise, surprise, in the color Gold Rush, also surprise, surprise, by BeStitchMe. Throw up what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I got 2,218 stitches on this one, and here's where we're at. So I really worked in this section here, just kind of coming across. So finished off some of those palm trees, a flamingo, these, I want to say emus, but I know it's not an emu because we're in Egypt and they don't have emus, so it's probably an ostrich. And then the beginnings of some kind of antelope or animal like that. That's what I started on. So this is a great one when I feel like it was getting towards the end of the month and my stitch count for me, I felt was kind of low. So it's a good one to get out to just throw some stitches in because they come together really quickly. Being a monochromatic piece and fairly long lengths of thread, I get about 100 stitches per length of thread, so that just those numbers come together quick to help with my desire to get a lot of stitches in. But that's just me. I'm not putting pressure on anybody to do their own large count of stitching. So next up is my dimensions kit. I'll throw up, it is Woodland Enchantress. I'll throw up a picture of what it will look like when it's finished because I don't have the cover page. I am stitching this on a 16 count aida. I swapped out the kit aida just because it was going to be like 1.5 inch margin and I just didn't want to work with that. But I'm using the kit everything else. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I only got 1,556 stitches on this. This, while I love, here's where we're up to. Like I love the effect of like the shadowing and kind of the dimension of it as expected from it being called dimensions. But even using the dimensions needles, which are a little bit bigger, pulling 4 strands through, I can't work on this for very long. My hand starts to hurt, which hurts my soul to know I'm getting at that age where like things like this affect me. So I can't work on this very long. So I feel like this piece is going to take me a long time to do. Unless I get past a point of needing 4 strands. Like when it gets into the 2 strand stitching, that's fine. 3 strands is kind of okay. Well, actually, no, I'm not even doing 3 strands. When it calls for 3 strands, I'm just doing 2, so I can do the loop start method, and I think it's fine. But when it calls for 4, I'm doing 4. When it calls for 3, I'm doing 2. If it calls, I haven't got to a section where it calls for 5, but if it calls for 5, I'm probably not going to do 5. Because if I'm struggling big time with 4, even using their needle, I can't imagine what trying to do 5 will do to me. So it'll most likely just be the 4 max is what I'll go to. I'm otherwise enjoying it. It's just like I said, after a little while, I just have to stop. My hand starts to hurt from there. Okay. I am flying through. We're 11 minutes in and I've got 2 projects left. But like I said, I'm trying to get this done because I am exhausted. Next up is one of my 2 monthly pieces that I work on. This one is my goal to have it finished by the end of this year, and that is Jasmine Beckett from Jasmine Beckett Griffith, Faces of Faery 193. I'll throw up what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I work on this, like I said, every month for around 1,500 minimum stitches so that I can see the finish by the end of the year. This month I did 1,667. And here's where we're at. I also think I finished a couple of colors on this, but I love how she is coming together. Part of me is tempted to just kind of come down and finish so I can see kind of like the full size of it, but this is going to be so much confetti that I'd rather break that up as much as I can and not just be stuck with confetti stitching at the end, because that would be not fun for me. But I love how this comes together, and I mean, you wouldn't know it, but in her face, like this is greens. Doesn't show as much on camera, but a lot of this is green thread, which are like, you think that's weird. How does that work? But you know, shadowing, that's what it is. But yeah, bring her in closer. Loving this piece. I have her companion, the Black Swan, all finished, and I will one day frame them and have them side by side. Probably by my front door, so it like freaks out people as they walk in, and maybe if they're not welcome, it will make them turn away. Okay, and the final piece that I worked on for the month of July is my Alternative Reality by Josephine Wall. It's a Heaven and Earth Designs full coverage. Here's what it will look like when it's finished. This I work on for a minimum of 2,000 stitches a month in order to see the finish by the end of, in 5 years total, which will be 2027 with the way I'm kind of tracking at the moment. So here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I am doing the parking method on this. This is my only piece that I do the parking method on now because the hanging threads actually kind of annoy me. So I've started going a lot more rogue and finishing off threads where there's not that many stitches left. Like if it's gonna go all the way down, or I won't have anywhere to anchor the thread when it's done, I'll just leave it as a parked thread and come back to it. But for the most part, I have really cut down on parking. Oh, so let me go back. So here's where we're at. I did 2,128 stitches on this one this month, and I finished 4 colors, maybe 5. So I was working in this section over here. So her dress which was so much confetti. And the colors that I finished are like these ones, which is why I've gone kind of rogue, because they would be over here and I could see there was only a couple left. Let me get these threads out of the way. So I was able to count over and finish off those threads, finish off those colors, I should say. So yeah, and I have hit the 50% mark with this. So she is halfway done. I'm just trying to show you. And yeah, that dress is no joke, and something that I am not looking forward to having to continue to do. But you know, it has to be done, and it will be worth it in the long run. But yeah, it's gonna be a hard slog for when I get to it. So that's why I'm trying at times to go a little over 2,000, so that if there is a time where I'm just in that rough stretch of confetti and I need a break, I can take that break and not feel like I'm falling too far behind. I don't want to fall behind. That's not how my brain works with things like this. You know, and there's plenty of people who were like, you know, I had a goal, didn't meet it, you know, life happens. That's not me. I can't do that. You know, if I set the goal, I really want to try and make it happen where I can. You know, life is always going to happen. There's going to be months where I'm not going to be able to do it, which is why I do try to go over a little bit in other months, because that just, you know, cumulatively comes together. And if I, you know, only do 1,800 stitches one month, it's not a problem. I'm not falling behind, because there's been 2 or 3 months that I've gone over by 100 plus. So that is the plan with that. But that is everything that I stitched on for the month of July. I stitched 14,093 stitches, so not a bad month. All things considering, I have been busy on the weekends and stuff like that. So, you know, lucky I got what I got in, but I did towards the end of the month get very strategic in purposely picking pieces like my Long Dog Sampler, like that Quaker Pumpkins, which have very either completely monochromatic or very few color changes, so I can just get stitches in to get my numbers up. For August is a beast of a month for me. I am gone for 10 days. My company has its annual conference, so I'm gone for 10 days and basically not able to stitch. There might be a day or two here, like at the beginning before everyone really arrives, that I can, but for the most part, I won't be able to do any stitching. So it's gonna be a lower stitch month for me. I'll try when I get back to, again, pick pieces strategically where I can to get the numbers in. But for goals, or for plans for the month, I have, so the Whip Go numbers were called number 12 and number 15. Number 12 for me was to work on a Flossabilities piece, so that'll be my cabin in the woods. And number 15 is to work on a Primrose Cottage stitches, which I don't have currently as a whip, so that will be a new start to work on that for 2,000 stitches, because I do like to put, when I start a piece, I try to put 2,000 stitches in at the beginning so that it feels like a start. You know, I'm not someone who can put 50 stitches in and move along and feel good about that. That's just, I'm very completionist by nature, so I need to put more in. So those I will work on. Obviously work on my Alternative Reality. I'll work on my White Swan. Those are 4 pieces that'll definitely happen. I will take something with me on my work trip, just because you never know, you know, I could be at an airport and stuck there for God knows how long. I like to have something at least with me, so if the opportunity does present itself, I don't feel like I have wasted that opportunity. Although in times when I have been somewhere stuck at an airport waiting for a plane or waiting for weather to pass and have had stitching, I just end up scrolling on TikTok, so it doesn't always end up happening anyway. But I will bring a piece with me, probably my Night B. That is on an 18 count aida, so very easy to see. It's a small piece, so it's my little Q-snap and things like that, so probably bring that just because it'll be easier to work on. And then otherwise I'll just work on whatever I feel like, whenever I feel like it. But those are the plans. Oh, I did make a note for myself. So I did finish 4 colors for Alternative Reality and 3 colors in the White Swan. So past Amy was intelligent enough to make notes. But now let's move on to haul. Like I said, it's very quick. I only have one piece of haul. It is the Summer Court kit that I got from Forbidden Fibre Co. So I have This is now my third one. I have the summer court, winter court, and spring court. At this point, I'll get them all and I will show you what everything is. So it did actually come with a couple of extra flosses. So this isn't part of the kit. She just, I don't know, I found whenever I order things, she throws in a couple of extra skeins of floss that are generally what I learned. I thought it was oak with 2 O's. It means one of a kind. So there's this pinky red color that kind of fades into a very light pink, almost gray, or that could just be my eyes. And then this one, which is a bluey gray, which I think is very nice. I don't know, something about that is very appealing to me. I don't know why. And then, so that's not the kit itself. The kit itself is this bag. You get fabric with it. I chose the 28 count Lugana. Starting to wish I had picked 25 count and then do 1/1, but maybe future Amy will remember that for the next kit. And this is in the color Waterfall. So this was the first time for these kits anyway that she actually had 2 choices of color. I can't remember what the other one was, but I liked this one a little bit better. It's just, you know, a nice blue, you know, a nice neutral blue. And I feel like if memory serves, and I could be wrong because my memory right now is shot, the other one had more kind of browns in it. And I was like, well, I liked the blue a little bit better. Watch me not be able to get this back in. Yeah, we're gonna do that later, so you don't need to see me struggle. And then the pattern is this one. Oh, you can't see. Let's see if I can pull it out of the, so you don't get the glare. Here we go. So summer court, looks very Greek to me with some waves. And it says, I'm thinking it would be very easy to love you and easier to call you my friend. So it's all from the Sarah J. Maas Court of Thorns and Roses. It also comes with a needle minder, which is and I dropped it, of course I did, excuse me, which is a sun. So nice for that. You can never have too many needle minders. And then the floss that it came with. So it came with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors. And they are Tatooine, which is like a beige. Big Apple, which is, you know, bright, nice bright red. Ooh, getting my own hair. Interstellar, a beautiful blue. Swanky gray, which has kind of like hints of purple. It's looking very kind of brownish on screen, or at least to me it is. But in person, it's kind of a purpley gray. Then you have Pacific, beautiful bright blue. Marzipan, which is just, you know, an off-white. And dark walnut, which is, you know, a brown, a variegated brown. So those are the flosses that it came with, the kit, the fabric, everything that I don't need, but bought anyway, because why not? I don't buy a lot of stuff for myself these days. Although I do spend a lot of money in travel, but that's a different problem, isn't it? But that is everything from me. I hope everyone enjoyed what they saw. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to leave me a comment below. I'm always happy to answer and interact with everybody through the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all of my viewers and subscribers. If you could like the video, if you liked it, that'd be great. And if you would like to subscribe, I'd be happy to have you. But have a great month ahead, everybody, for August. If you are in parts of the world that I'm in, where it's very, very hot, please remember to stay hydrated. I think that was part of my problem yesterday. It was over 100 and I just don't think I drank enough water. So remember to stay hydrated, stay cool. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and it's cold, stay warm. If you're in somewhere where it's very temperate and pleasant, you know, enjoy that, because I'm sure we all wish we were there right now. But have a great month ahead, everybody. Thank you. Bye.